Let's talk MPG in this 2022 Lexus LX600. Not a big baller and you don't daily drive an LX600, don't worry, because this video is still going to apply to you. All the tips and tricks and everything that I'm going to be telling you, it can apply to any vehicle no matter what you drive. And let's see if this makes sense in the world that we are living today with $5 per gallon gas prices, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 in some cases in certain areas like California. I think it's gone up to close to $9 per gallon. So let's talk about it. We have here a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6. So gone is the 5.7 V8. We're left with this V6, this twin turbocharged unit, and this is rated to get 17 in the city and 22 on the highway. It absolutely requires the use of premium fuel. Now let me demonstrate to you something here. Flooring it like I am right now, not good. Almost any turbocharged vehicle is not going to be happy when you floor it. Now, what do I mean? So the 17 city, 22 highway, that is exactly what I get when I'm driving it softly. So when I'm not being aggressive with the throttle pedal, I can expect to see about 17 in the city. And yes, 22 is pretty accurate on the highway because this vehicle has a coefficient of drag of 0.376, and this vehicle weighs 5,665 pounds. Now that's on the highway, you stick it in the right lane doing 75 miles an hour, right? But in the city, things change drastically depending on how you drive. And I drive in a way where I can actually enjoy this power plant because I actually do like this engine. I don't really miss the V8. When I'm surging by people effortlessly, it immediately dips down into the 12 to 13 MPG range. So immediately this vehicle drops almost 5 MPG. And there are various modes that you can play with. So I like to drive this vehicle in the comfort mode because I have here the F Sport model with the 22-inch wheels, which I'll talk about in more detail in a little bit. However, the ride quality does improve in this vehicle when you put in the comfort mode, so that's my favorite. However, there's also an eco mode. The way an eco mode works is by slowing down the shift time so the overall drivetrain doesn't react that quickly, right? So when you stomp on it, there's going to be more of a delay. And also they do reduce the performance of the air conditioning unit. When I drove around the eco mode, I didn't really notice a huge difference. I was getting pretty much the same MPGs. I might as well just put it into the comfort mode, enjoy the ride quality, and also have a little bit better reaction time when I need it. Now the sport modes is absolutely ridiculous. In most vehicles, the sport modes are not tuned well for daily driving purposes, and there's really no point in driving in the sport modes. The suspension will tighten up, and you will notice that the steering also gets a little bit tighter. And here's the thing, that's all fine, but these are pretty minute changes. I mean, you feel the ride quality a little bit, and this vehicle rides so firm already that I can't tolerate anything firmer than this. So I completely leave it out of the sport mode for that reason. But the main reason that I detest sport modes in most vehicles is because it just puts you into a lower gear, and that simulates better reaction times in the vehicle. But you're essentially hovering around 2,000 RPMs when you're doing like 45 miles per hour. So you're using almost double the RPMs necessary to just cruise around at 45 miles an hour, which is what most people do on a daily basis in the city. The biggest difference that we've seen, that 5 MPG delta that we talked about, it all has to do with the way that you're driving. So if you're mellow with the throttle, if you drive it like somebody's grandmother, you can see 17 MPGs in this. As soon as you start to enjoy what you paid for and you start getting in on that throttle and start surging off and passing people, that's when you start to dip into the 12s. And I'll tell you this, the previous generation 5.7 V8 found in the Tundra, the old LX, that engine would get you around 12 to 13 MPG as well, no matter how you drove it. If you drove it aggressively, if you drove it mellow, it didn't really matter. That's about the MPGs that you can expect. And the highway MPG was worse. It was around like 19 or 18, something like that. So is this engine an improvement? Yes, because at least when you're driving it softly, which is how most people around me drive, you're going to be getting 17, which is over 5 MPG better than the previous generation 5.7 V8, and you're getting better MPGs, 4 to 5 MPGs better on the highway as well. So yes, Toyota and Lexus, they have succeeded with this engine in making it more economical, and a lot of it is not just due to the engine, it's due to the 10-speed automatic that they put in here, more gears, right? So out on the highway, you're in a 10th gear, you're at a much lower RPMs. It's just more efficient that way. Now, that being said, we're talking about the previous generation Toyota products. There are other V8s on the market. Like currently we have a Ram 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi V8 and the e-torque system, which is basically a 48-volt mild hybrid system. That truck with the V8 engine will net you 17 MPG in the city, much like this, and it'll get around 20, 22 out on the highway as well. And that's a massive 5.7 V8. Now, admittedly, it's got the e-torque system in it, but how much of a difference that really makes? I mean, you might be getting 1 or 2 MPG better with that e-torque system. It does some intelligent things like helping out with the auto stop start feature. It'll be in that auto stop start for longer. And when you're downshifting or coming to a stop, the vehicle will rev match downshift using the electric power from the 48-volt mild hybrid system instead of using fuel to pull off those rev match downshifts. So it does a couple of smart little things like that, which I'm sure helps with the MPGs, but I can't really see it being a drastic difference. That's just a more modern V8 compared to the old Toyota setup, and it's got an 8-speed automatic as opposed to the old 6-speeds. So in reality, a V8 can be just as good as a twin turbocharged V6 setup. However, what's important to these manufacturers that people need to understand is they're just trying to pad a spec sheet, and in their little EPA testings, it's almost always the twin turbocharged units that get better MPG on paper than the V8s or the naturally aspirated engines. But in reality, the difference is very small. Like, if Toyota invested more money into the 5.7 iForce platforms, that old V8, they put like an 8-speed transmission in it, or they somehow made it to this 10-speed unit, I feel like that 5.7 could have been as good as like the Hemi 5.7 found in the Ram, and there would have been no real need for a twin turbocharged V6 engine. But we all know that even this is not the future. We're all going to be driving EVs, electric vehicles, down the road. Every manufacturer is going full EV by 2030. And honestly, EVs are superior to these turbocharged units. There is no excitement here. This engine does not sound good when you get on the throttle. Sure, it's quick. A lot of these twin turbocharged engines are quick. However, there's no soul. You don't really feel much when you floor it like that. In fact, you're better off not flooring it. Just easing into the throttle is better. Now, I want to talk about some other things regarding MPGs, and that's the wheel sizes. So this F Sport and a lot of the higher end LX trim levels will come with 22-inch wheels. However, they are forged wheels. And some of you might be asking, will smaller wheels help with the MPG? Well, it's not so much the size, but it's more so the weight of the wheel that's going to help you with the MPGs. Again, we're talking about marginal gains and benefits here, but this LX can be had, not the F Sport, but other models like the more base models and the LX Premiums can be had with a 18-inch wheel setup. Lexus hasn't disclosed the exact weight figures for each of these wheels. However, because these are forged wheels that they offer for the 22 inches, they're both lightweight and they're strong. So I don't really think there's a huge difference going between 18s, 20s, and 22s for this particular vehicle. But just so you know, it's the wheel weight that matters more so than the size, because the less they weigh, the less energy is necessary to move them. Now, other things to note. Let's talk about the cost. So I did a quick little simulation for you. I just used a fuel economy calculator online, and I did an example where someone driving 1,000 miles per month, which is around 12,000 miles per year, I kind of calculated out what that 5 MPG difference is that you're getting in this vehicle between driving softly and getting 17 and driving a little bit more aggressively, not by much, and kind of enjoying that engine and getting 12 MPG. So what's that costing you? What's 5 MPG costing you? For this example, I assume that the gas price is around $5 per gallon. I'm in North Carolina. I have a Costco membership and I get premium fuel for around $4.50 per gallon, but I just used 5 for a nice round figure. And I believe it came out to be $294 per month getting 17 MPG in this vehicle. This vehicle has a 21.1 gallon fuel tank. And that number changed to $416, I believe, per month at 12 MPG. So that 5 MPG difference is around $120, which can be a drop in the bucket for a lot of wealthy people who are actually buying this. Let's be honest, a 6-figure daily driver that's going to depreciate and rot, that's a lot of money, and no normal human is spending that as on a daily driver. However, what we need to take away from this is 5 MPG has made a $120 difference. So that's pretty massive. So imagine a vehicle that gets 30 or 40 MPG as your daily driver. That's why I'm so high on a vehicle like the ES300H Lexus. half the price as this. Obviously, that's a sedan, but it's getting 40 MPG, which is totally impressive, both in the city and the highway. So if you're more of a normal person, I mean, for normal people, $100 a month, that's life-changing. I mean, that's like bill money. That money can be used for many different things for normal families. But even for the wealthy person, I mean, what is this really offering? I mean, this massive body-on-frame vehicle, sure, it's very off-road capable, and that's great for this vehicle, right? That's the main selling factor of this LX, the reliability, the dependability. I mean, that's kind of been wasted. This is just as disposable as any other European vehicle. So if this twin turbocharged unit isn't going to be as reliable, if it's not going to be as dependable, then there's really no point to this LX. You might as well just get a European vehicle, and you'd be surprised, a lot of the European vehicles with their turbocharged 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders, they are very efficient engines, like what you might find in a BMW X7 or an Audi Q7. Those are great in terms of fuel economy, and you might be arguing, well, this is body on frame, it should tow a lot. And it does. I mean, this vehicle tows 8,000 pounds. However, an Audi Q7 can also tow 7,700 pounds. So not far off from this, while getting much better MPG and being much smoother and riding better. I didn't talk about the auto stop start, which this vehicle has. You can turn it off with a button. It's smooth. It's great. It can save you some fuel here and there. But for the most part, it's the way that you drive that matters. That's the main takeaway that you need to understand. Being abrupt and getting on the brakes really hard and getting on the throttle really quickly, that's really going to destroy your MPGs. And as we just saw here, 5 MPGs certainly does make a difference. You can take that information away and apply that to your own personal vehicle. And if you're driving one of these newer turbocharged units, just know that turbocharged engines don't like aggressive driving. If you want to achieve the MPGs that a lot of these manufacturers claim on their window stickers, then you need to drive very softly. However, with the European vehicles, you can drive it a little bit more aggressively. They're very advanced engines. They're highly efficient, and they're tuned and tweaked to be, I don't know, I guess enjoyed, if you will. They just do a much better job of that. Granted, their longevity is not as great, but I feel like neither is this. Not anymore anyway, compared to the old V8s. So you might as well enjoy like a European vehicle under warranty. There's no point in leasing anymore. Lease prices are now through the roof. Leasing and financing, almost the same thing. So you might as well just finance and just dump it in 3 years, right? Keep it till the warranty is up. Treat your finance like a lease and just dump the vehicle. So that's what I'm saying. If you're not going to be keeping this LX long term, then an Audi Q7 that goes for around 70 grand, really well equipped with a larger engine that can tow 7,700 pounds, that's around $30,000 to $40,000 less than the LX. It's just all about number crunching, and depends on where you live. Obviously, fuel prices are different for every area nowadays. So you can just use that fuel economy calculator for yourself if you're shopping for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, whatever you're doing. Kind of compare and contrast and see what fits into your budget. The main thing is this LX takes premium fuel, so that really adds to the monthly cost. Anyway, hopefully this video was valuable. I plan to do this for every vehicle that I review. But in the meantime, if you want to see my full in-depth review on this vehicle, then check out the end screen here. Click that video, and I'll see you there.